Get up early this morning, and I would like to continue the discussion which took place in the same room 1 year ago when we were telling about the very first steps. And I believe that today it's high time for us to make one more step, another step, and to remember what's been done and try and analyze what's been done from the viewpoint of novel, I think more serious viewpoint. And this is represented in the headline which you see on the screen, because everybody knows that the venture business may not exist without failures, although it must be associated with success eventually. However, I see that this audience includes those who met us last year, and internet and Twitter has been hooked up to this conference. And last year we told you about the scheduled commissioning of new capacity. And we called this program 13+, and we had a plan to commission in 2013 13 new nano-industry facilities, and in 2012. And I should tell you that to date, 13 new facilities have been put on stream, and you can see on this map all these new plants from Novosibirsk to St. Pete, and they are already running. Then next year, in 2013, we have ambitious plans. By the end of this year, we will continue putting on stream new plants and facilities, and before the end of this year, we will put on stream 16 more facilities, and a plan for this year is called 16+. You can see on the this map 3 plants in Novosibirsk and Solly one more. And in addition, we have ambitious plans for the future. You know, it takes some time to commission a plant. It's a continuous procedure. And if you see the list, it's quite an extensive plan. 60 more plants must be added to the figure of 12 plus 25. That is 29 plus 60, which makes 89 new facilities will be running. That's what has already been put on stream, what will be commissioned next year and the years to come. Just as per the approved schedule. It's quite a massive chunk of business, and the idea of today's presentation is to try and analyze the emerging block of the innovation economy of this country, and we believe that it's quite a significant amount of business, which makes us try to analyze it seriously and eventually decide how much these new islands of innovative economy will affect national economy. All these business endeavors have been united into 14 clusters, from metal, machining, and polymers to the health clustering, which includes therapy, diagnostic exercises, and surgery. These are the clusters which have already been commissioned or which will put on stream in the near term. Each deserves a special discussion, but I'm afraid it will take us too much time. We'll drown in this discussion. So we decided offhand to select 2 clusters as the means of examples. One is the optic electronic cluster, and the second is energy efficiency. These are 2 clusters which are basically different in terms of structural development, and this is the subject of the discussion. So begin with the first one, that is the optic electronic cluster. I would like to emphasize that this analysis to follow will be based not just on abstract thinking, but on the projects which have already been commissioned, or on the facilities which are being constructed and which will be put on stream in the near term. The optic electronics cluster, to simplify it, basically is represented on the screen, starting from the feedstock, then monocrystals like corundum, then monocrystal, next stage of crystallization when we have an ingot. Then usually it is cut into special plates. Then by using epitaxy, chips are manufactured by using super clean gases, and these represent special electronic devices as light receivers or diodes, which are or just the channels which are used to transmit. This is the core element of the cluster, which must wind up in special sets of equipment or special lighting systems like light emitting diodes and lighting technology, or photoelectronic sensors or receivers, which terminate the entire chain of this technology. This process chain provides a basis which gives us a chance to see how our enterprises and facilities position themselves along such a chain. So let us look at this cluster, not from a theoretical viewpoint, but proceeding from the actually existing facilities which are already in place or which will be constructed. Here you see the list of plants and facilities which have already been constructed or are being constructed or will be constructed. For example, one of them is the monocrystal at Stavropol. It's a unique enterprise which was created by one personality, Mr. Novikov, who endeavored and created one of the world's largest business as sapphire wafers. And it accounts for about 25% of sapphire wafers worldwide, of the worldwide total output. So you see that today this facility is making its own monocrystals on the basis of corundum. Another example is represented by optic fiber lasers. This company was set up by BG Photonic and ourselves. BG Photonic is the world's leading machine building company in this area, and it is listed at NASDAQ. And we have an affiliate, a branch of this system, which manufactures very important components of laser systems. Then light diode lighting systems, Optagon. It's a St. Pete-based company which manufactures solid state systems. You see, it's a whole bunch of clusters which represent the projects pursued by ourselves. However, it may be seen that to create a realistic, just ground-based project, you need to conduct a lot of R&D. Without basic R&D, fundamental research, basic research, none of these projects will ever be implemented. And behind each of these projects, we see one or several very important R&D centers providing support.
This business, so then they were experimented with tungsten cobalt alloys, so then the spray technology and the cutting instrument is very strong, but it turned out that they are not able to sell the cutting instruments, just not because of low professional skills. It's not like the first case, but the business model contains a mistake. If our competence in the production of material, of nanoceramic powder, so it's strong, but the product should be the powder. They tried to jump over another stage of metal cutting instrument, and here we have a lot of world leaders with 50 years of history. So trying an attempt to dismiss them from the market was a mistake. It was a wrong approach based on the material and establishing a business which gets into the most complicated market of machine tools. So that was a difficult situation, and we had to change the business model. We abandoned the idea of selling metal cutting tools, but we rather focused on non-ceramic powder, and that is the kernel of the competence of the team. And another more complicated case when the market is so there's not in our expectations. We know what happens in the solar energy with the polysilica, beginning with the first stage. So then the situation in the world dramatically became worse. And here we show the dynamic of the price for a polysilica. That is a commodity. And from 120, it reduced to $23. So there are more complicated processes in the world. The United States declared the trade war to China. So they introduced some special duties for silica plates. So then there are two problems. Enormous production capacity in China, exceeding the market volume. And the second, so then reduction of subsidies into the solar energy programs in Europe due to the crisis. These were the two key reasons that affected the market as such. So we have a few projects. So that the first one, this is the project of production of polysilicon. That was a very difficult situation. So the plant in Ussolye-Sibirskaya in Irkutsk Oblast. We scraped through the crisis. We had to bring some fresh blood into the management company, and so then now they ensured such cost resistance. So then we found our own niche in this low price in the world, and we will reach the production of 5,000 tons a year. So under these most challenging conditions, we'll, as we hope, we manage to keep afloat due to severe cuts of the costs. Though there are situations when the mistake in our market assessment was so grave that probably we won't be able to keep afloat. And so we'll have to take a very painful decisions, including shutdown of business. So this area, so in this area here, the solution is the portfolio diversification, ability to balance between less risky and more risky projects. And another fourth group of risks, that is scientific and technological risks. It's one of the gravest situations, and we have to face with such a risk almost at every project of ours. And here we have such complicated, twisty situations, it's very difficult to find a way out. The company that we told, so Plastic Logic. The Plastic Logic is the company which ensures development of non-silica-based electronics. Not only established, it brought this technology to, without any exaggeration, the level of the best in the world. So the company managed to demonstrate its unique character as a developer of, first and foremost, of technology, of so-called electronic paper, which ensures not only a black and white but only color display. It shows the technology that ensures motion or animation on the electronic paper. No one in the world is able to do so, but at the same time, the technological problems so then managed to bring the company to very high costs. So then speaking about the business model, maybe here, so then at this stage of production, the flat screens. It was a little bit too much. But it's clear that the technology that the company owns is the best technology in the world. It is the value of itself. So that the idea is to get from the product focus to the technology focused state, because the technology can become the focus of partnership. So that was what I would call the comprehensive analysis of our failures. It is far from being complete. We do not want to say that we know everything, but we want to show that we have already made our own mistakes and we analyzed our own failures. So then, and it is not an exhaustive list of failures and our windy paths. So then what are the conclusions? We understand that in the innovative economy the risks are high, they are controllable and non-controllable, and the mistakes are inevitable in some projects. We also understand, based on our own experience, there is not a single problem that we cannot overcome. How many times we heard that innovative economy is impossible in Russia, and the engineers are lost. There are no personnel. The scientists do not understand anything. The state-of-the-art business is not for Russia. Corruption and nothing except it's for all those who like to chat. And our goal is to show that from the long list of the problems, there is not a single one that we cannot overcome. So we are not talking about Moscow or St. Petersburg. We are talking about the whole country. So the Chubais, Siberia, to the east, from the Urals to the west, from the Urals, and we see what I'm talking about. We see it and we are able to prove. All that exists, that the innovative economy in Russia is a difficult thing, but quite possible. And it is also necessary. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much. So then we will have quite an unusual discussion, because what we have just heard has changed. So then while the participants are going, so we will be discussing the innovative business environment that's being built. And you probably know, I will not repeat but I will tell you what we do not know. Before RUSNANO came to the US market, the attitude to the Russian innovations was quite skeptical, maybe just because of those facts that Mr. Chubais has mentioned. So the mass media severely criticize the nanotechnologies, but as soon as the nanotechnologies came to the world global market, so we see formation of partnerships at a new level. But these failures are just a little part of what has been done. So let us ask the representatives of Intel, if you make a mistake, do you make mistakes at the same level? Have you found any similarities?
Okay, I will give you 1 second to think about this question. Should the audience have questions as well, please raise your hands and you will take part in the discussion, because I would like to remind you that we are discussing innovation clusters, the Russian style, in the context of the world innovation ecosystem, because RUSNANO is the global market player. So Dmitry Konosh, representing Intel, please tell us what you think about the blunders made by big corporations. Okay, the mic is running. I will tell you about such blunders, but I would like to begin with the positive side. First of all, I should pay tribute to Anatoly Borisovich as a great optimist. Just 1.5 hours ago with Alexander, we attended an IT forum of Russia, and we've seen very successful people with big wages and incomes. So they are complaining about problems and saying that many things fail, and they cannot be successful everywhere. In this context, I was very pleased to hear your presentation, Mr. Chubais, and I have been recharged by your positive energy. I'm on the positive side, and we should clap our hands. Let's applaud the optimistic presentation. As for blunders, of course, all big companies make a lot of mistakes, and Intel has made many mistakes. Alexander said about that some time ago, so I had time to think about it. First things that come to my mind are attempts to launch its own smartphone production line, and you know that 98% of all smartphones and cell phones that exist in the world are based on microprocessors, whose core was developed by a British company, ARM. A few years ago, we tried to start building processors based on the ARM processors by using our traditional architecture. However, this project failed. We sold this project to another company, which successfully launched sales worldwide. As for Intel, our mistake most probably was in just having doubts about the success of our own infrastructure, because we were quite definite it would run smoothly with our desktops and service, but we were not confident, not quite sure that the same architecture could be adapted for smartphones. And well, I will touch upon the positive line again. Positive note. Which of the four categories which Mr. Chubais voiced were in the era? I think these were areas associated with the human factors, because everything which Anatoly Borisovich said, well, I agree with completely. I believe we must be confident in our own capabilities. Today we realize that we can use the same architecture and the same teams which support our desktop and server developments, maybe just switched over and use the same human capabilities for developing the smartphone technologies. Well, 20, 30 years ago, what we're discussing today as reality was not possible. But coming back to Mr. Chubais' presentation, well, our resolution is making things cheaper, significantly cheaper, what people have already learned how to manufacture. In this sense, if we create something very good, which is too expensive, it means that you have not created something positive. I would like to argue with you. What you said may be split up into two components. Look, if you created a new fantastic product with incredible properties which humankind has never known before, but it is super expensive, it's nothing, because in this strategy will not achieve anything. Here I agree with you, but at the same time, if the technology has positive contents, if it is truly innovative and progressive, you must pose an objective to management. Develop a new business model. By using the same technology, you can design tens of products, such as a tablet, for example, tablet computer, which wouldn't be right, but you could create a new generation of credit cards, including photograph, on-face and profile of the owner, providing digital ID. Such technologies require just fewer dimensions. It is a smaller size technology, it's not a tablet computer. But if you change a business model correctly, if you find a partner for making a market product, that's important.
So the role of investors is very important. A normal investor not simply gives money, but helps to determine the strategy of the company. And if using plastic logic, so then it could have been in a deadlock on the market of US. So having such an investor as RUSNANO, you can find a way to develop unique technologies. I will usurp the time probably, but I cannot help keeping silence. It's my personal experience. It's important. The role of investors in innovative business differs from the role of investors in the normal business. In normal classical company, investor are just simplifying everything. Investor is a controlling body. This is the budget, give me a report. So then if you are good, it's good. If you are not good, you will be dismissed. An innovative business, like in our business, an investor is a partner. So then we do not control, we do not see if we are good or bad, but we are innovating business from inside. So when almost every quarter, and in 1 year, we see that what we wanted to bring into the business a year ago was not correct. But the partner of the company should show what they have, or everything is good, and then up, and it's not so good. But it means that the investor did not penetrate into the details of the functioning. So, Leonid, probably with domain you see this style. Probably that's why you found this partner. So you have a lot of partners. So domain works like this. All the venture business works like this. Good businessman. Good is alive. Alexandra, there is such a term in the venture business, CEO, Chief Executive Officer. But C stands not for chief, but current executive officer. As of today, yes. And that will be a long work day or short work day, depending on the results. But Intel does not make such investments. Probably you look at the company, you're just trying to see whether you would like to buy it or not. Yesterday we conducted a press conference. We were speaking about the Intercapital, about how they work, and the principles that we were discussing now are quite applicable towards our business. And we were concerned such a thing as the leader quality of a person who manages the business. And Mr. Chubais gave an example when the business outgrew the founder. So we had such an example with Intel. So there was a company when first we thought that the founder is more interested in traveling all over the world and enjoying the beauty of the landscapes instead of routine work. So there are examples of people who launched businesses in a very difficult time when everybody was sure it was not possible. So then Yota is a good example of it in Russia. When these guys were launching their business, they invented everything in early 2008, when the economic world was so shaky. But they were promoting their idea by the end of 2008, when it seemed that the world is at the rim of a catastrophe. But you know, historically it is proved that the best companies were invested during the crisis time. Denis Sverdlov made a company who were the first in the world who launched 4G. Where? In Russia. It cannot be, because it cannot be at all. But how? It is working now. And now they are switching to a new technology, one of the first companies in the world. And I believe that the success of such companies depends on the leaders' leadership. So then we were discussing clusters. We need an entrepreneur, a good investor, corporations as partners, and education. I can talk for hours about education. No, not hours, but a minute. So then the presentation, so it was clearly said about the marketing problems, evaluation of the future demand on the market. And they also almost mentioned that there were some problems in business strategy. But if we are discussing partnership with universities, it seems as if only engineers working in the company, so then no managers, no marketologists, and so on. I would like to comment on that. Yes, we know good universities who produce good managers. We all love your School of Economy, but at the same time, what we need at this aspect of the problem, this is the need of quite a new competence of the new type that would integrate classic management qualities, legal, corporate knowledge, and technological competence. So then we feel the need in the experts who would understand both sides of the medal. We suffer tremendous shortage of such staff. And so together with the Physical Technical University, we established a new chair, Technological Entrepreneurship. So this is an attempt to integrate the managerial competence and technological knowledge. Without these two hemispheres, it is impossible to understand the venture process. So then you lose half of the vision field. And our highly respected School of Economy is not yet able to do so. I am the vice president of the Russian Economic School. We know what you are. I want to say that even in the most innovative places in Russia, so there is a trend to divide everything on the basis and the structure, so that technology is the basis and management and communication is just the structure. So then what you look at, you're looking for good technologies with good understanding of physics, and it seems to me that in Russian economic school there is no management faculty. But a good manager will learn technology. It is easier to understand physics, but so then if we start discussing this, we will continue till the night. That is a very interesting issue. It is, as Mr. Chubais made it clear. So, speaking about the conditions of the success of economy, we forgot about this in the Russian Federation. The key prerequisite is the enormous domestic market. And this is fair. What you are saying, Konstantin, what we produce, we need to know how to sell it. We need to find the consumers of our product. Mr. Chubais mentioned the trade war between U.S. and China for silicon plates. This is what we might have. The company financed by RUSNANO, who focus only on the global market. So they might find themselves in such a situation. If we want to raise the Russian economy, the players of the market have to ensure the market space. Speaking about the conditions, RUSNANO is going ahead, ignoring such a thing that innovative ecosystem, and then start working. Do we need to wait till the innovative ecosystem is formed? And so sitting and waiting will bring us nowhere. The one who walks will cover the distance. But it is a very big problem because so then the domestic consumption of innovative products. And so then I spoke a lot with Brian Doerr, who is one of the founders of Domain Associates. So then he was the leader of the Venture Capitalists Association of the U.S. And he said, so what I focused my activities of as so that the U.S. government should not interfere with our activities. We do not need assistance, no tax, no, and so on. This concerns portfolio companies, those who need support. This is the motivation of the consumers, let's say pharmaceutical industry. What is the key problem? We see it. So the major part of the Russian market of pharmaceutical are price regulated. So then we see that there might be a situation with new medical preparations, innovative preparations. They will be very expensive. And this is the rule. But you see, it will be very difficult to convince the Russian price. So that to convince the government use these products. How do you convince the government to buy your product? So we have a lot of ideas. But the first one is the size of the market. Russia today is number 6 economy in the world. It is not bad. Since January the 1st, we have the single customs space, Belarus and Kazakhstan. And no matter how skeptic we might be, but this is one of the most important factors in market expansion. It makes number 5 market in the world.